Well, welcome back to another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse. And Sunday night I watched the Revolution pay-per-view from AEW, which basically the only reason I watched it because $50 is a lot for a pay-per-view, I think. But this was going to be Sting's last match. I've been watching wrestling probably for over 50 years. Sting came in the midst of the whole upheaval in Georgia. He was part of World Championship Wrestling. He had won the belt once. Him and Ric Flair put the whole thing on the map with a 45-minute match on Clash of the Champions that went against the WrestleMania. Sting fought many battles, had many injuries, also went to work for Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, and eventually wound up for a short stint in the WWE. After that, he supposedly retired. But he was lured down to AEW with a pretty good money contract, I would think, and a full-time position with the company. So what he did was he teamed with this young daredevil, Darby Allin, who was taking ridiculous bumps at that point. His finishing maneuver is something called a coffin drop, where he falls backwards off the top rope onto his opponent. Now, you would expect that Sting would probably, hook up with this guy and basically use him to get over. Actually, that wasn't the case. As insane as the bumps were that Darby took, Sting equaled them at 60-something years old. Like how a lot of the veterans basically sleepwalk their way through matches with younger guys, Sting was in there all the way. Sting didn't let Darby do all the work, then sneak in there for the pinfall. They became a good team, an undefeated team. Then when Sting decided to announce that at this year's Revolution, where he had started with AEW years ago, that was going to be his final match. And he and Darby Allin had taken the tag team straps off of Big Bill and Ricky Starks. They were challenged by the Young Bucks, who had just turned heel, even though they were considered heels anyway. So during a thing where Sting's sons were at ringside and a bunch of other stuff happened, the Bucks ran in and beat Darby and Sting bloody, also beat up Sting's sons. So the whole thing was set up for this basically revenge match, Texas Tornado rules, where basically all four men can do whatever they want in and out of the ring. Well, my buddy Gonzo came over, we had some weed, we watched all the other matches, which were pretty damn good, and then we came to the main event. We thought it was Sting that came out dressed as the old school Sting with the jacket and the yellow and blue makeup. And then someone else came out as a middle road Sting with that red thing he used. And then finally Sting came out. The two guys that came out were his adult sons. They proceeded to set up a bunch of shit around the ring, and they brawled all over the place. Tables, chairs, ladders, sheets of glass. Darby Allin did a coffin drop through a sheet of glass that basically turned his back into a pile of raw hamburger. Ric Flair was there because he wanted to go on the last ride with his good friend Sting. At one point, Sting was so beaten down that Flair went in to cover him up and begged the Bucks off, and the Bucks kicked him. Another wrestling legend, Ricky Steamboat, was there as guest timekeeper, and he ran the ring only to be knocked down. Sting rallied. Sting got up and basically took everything the Bucks could dish out and gave it back and came out victorious, him and Darby. I don't know if this is actually going to be the end for Sting. I would sort of hope that he would stay with the business, maybe, work behind the scenes, advising, the younger talent, or maybe managing like Jake the Snake is. I mean, there's only a few guys left from that era. One of them's Billy Gunn, who basically is like in his 60s and looks like he's having a lot of fun out there with his sons and the Acclaimed and Jay White. But, as guys get older, they tend to do less, and as Sting got older, he tended to do more. He was almost like Terry Funk was, adapting with the times and adapting to the new and more crazy styles of today's wrestlers. So, I mean, it was an emotional send-off. I mean, they cut it off at the end. I'm sure there's going to be more on, the media scrum and things like that about what's going to happen. But basically, Darby and Sting did retain the belts, so they're probably going to be up for grab if Sting is truly out of the picture. So how that's going to play out, I don't know. But like I said, I've been watching this for over 50 years. I was actually at the Meadowlands when Sting was inserted in a match that was supposed to be Cactus Jack against Ricky Steamboat. And in the back, Sting was trepidatious of working with Mick Foley when Mick approached him and says, look, we can make this a really good match if you go along with whatever I want to do. And honestly, I was there and it was a 5-star match. I'm actually surprised that Mick didn't show up at this little shindig Sunday night, but he didn't. But still, I mean, I've watched Sting for years, through the Four Horsemen and all the other stuff that was going on. And, great, great competitor, real name Steve Borden. And if this is it, I wish him the best. I mean, it's nice to be able to, walk away or hobble away from a business that takes so much out of you after all these years. But like I said, it was a great show, a great way to send this guy off. And again, like I said, I hope he hangs around and works behind the scenes. And I don't know if his kids are, going to be wrestlers or not. They look like two big dudes, so there's always that. So, like I said, if you can catch the replay, it's definitely worth the look. There's some crazy shit going on, but that match was the showstopper of them all. So, Sting, thank you for all you've done for the business and all the work and performances you've put in. And like I say, I hope this isn't the end of you. So, until next show, everybody stay safe. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. And we will catch you on the flip side.